In this video, we'll discuss block credits under GST. It means that even if the expenses is for business purpose, the credit is not, ITC is not available. It is deal under section 17(5) of the CGST Act. See, before going into the details of block credit, we need to understand that GST is a transaction level tax. At each transaction, you need to see whether it is ITC is available or ITC is blocked under section 17(5). We need to understand one thing, that GST is consumption tax. Let's take an example that a chartered accountant having a office purchase a car to go from office to client or to for the bank audits, etc. Then the credit, even if that car is used for furtherance of business, that is a profession, practice, the credit is not available because there is no further supply of car. That is what GST is, transaction level tax. With this background, let's move on to the various block credits. We will discuss in this video many examples which are relevant for the exam. Let's see first section 17(5) subclause A relating to the motor vehicle. See, GST credit on purchase of motor vehicle is not available even it is for transportation of passenger and the approved seating capacity is less than 13 including driver. The GST credit on purchase of that motor vehicle is not available. However, there are three exceptions to this. First exception, when it is supplied as such. When it is further supplied as such means what? That the manufacturer sells that car, and let's take an example of car, not motor vehicle, to the showroom person, and showroom person sells that car to you. Then that showroom person, the credit is available. Further, if it is used, that motor vehicle is used for imparting training, that is how to drive that car, how to drive that jeep, the credit is available. If it is further, next exception where the credit is available is that if it is used for further taxable supply of passenger, then the credit is available. See, the credit is not available in case of transportation of passenger. It means that there is no credit block for transportation of goods. If it is further supply of transportation of own goods or client's goods, the credit is available. Let's see some of the example with this background. That the purchase of motor vehicle having a seating capacity of 5 by the proprietor and he will use his business. See, he is ultimate consumer. There is no further supply of that motor vehicle. It's having a seating capacity less than 13 and it is not further used for transportation of taxable supply of transportation of passenger. Therefore, the credit is not available. Let's go to the next example. Purchase of motor vehicle by a company for business travel of its sales team. It's similar that here we will assume that the capacity of that motor vehicle is less than 13 and it is used by the salesperson for furtherance of their business. It is not used for further taxable supply of transportation of passenger. Therefore, the credit is not available. Let's go to the next example, that the vehicle used for transportation of client's employee on billing basis. See, it is used for further taxable supply of passenger. Therefore, the credit is available. Credit is available on what? On purchase of that motor vehicle, there is a GST, the credit is available. Vehicle used for imparting training of driving that motor vehicle, credit is available, no problem. Next example, vehicle used for employees For business travel, having a seating capacity less than 13, including, I think it's a repetition. Its credit is not available when the seating capacity is less than 13 and it is used for your own business, not for further taxable supply of transportation of passenger. And the vehicle used for transportation of own goods, see the restriction is on transportation of passengers. If either it is used for transportation of own goods or on client's good, the credit is available. Next example, vehicle use for employees transportation having a seating capacity 30. It means the credit is available. Why? Because the seating capacity of that motor vehicle is more than 13. The credit is available whether it is used for transportation of own employee or others employee, client's employee. The credit is available. Okay, let's move on to the next. Section 17(5)(a), vessel and aircraft. The credit is not available on purchase of vessel and aircraft. The GST paid on purchase of vessel and aircraft, the credit is not available under section 17(5)(a) of the CGST Act. There are exceptions. What are those exceptions? The credit is available provided that vessel or aircraft is used for further transportation of passenger, taxable supply of transportation of passenger, or for imparting training, that is how to navigate that vessel, how to fly that aircraft. If it is used for that purpose, then the credit is available. Then the credit is also available if that vessel or aircraft is used for transportation of goods, own goods or client's goods on billing basis, the credit is available. Okay, let's see some example with this background. Vessel purchase for transportation of employee from shore to ring. See, it is not used for further taxable supply of transportation of passenger. Therefore, the credit is not available. Let's go to the next example. Vessel purchase for transportation of passenger from shore to ring of client's employee on billing basis. It means this vessel is used for transportation for further taxable supply of transportation of passengers. Therefore, the credit is available. Next example. Vessel purchase for transportation of own goods. The credit is available. There is no restriction. Vessel purchase for transportation of client's goods on billing basis. The credit is available. No problem. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the next clause, section 17(5)(ab). ITC is not available in case of general insurance, repair and maintenance, servicing of motor vehicle, vessel and aircraft. However, there are certain exceptions. ITC is available if that vessel or aircraft is used for the purpose specified there. It means just now we saw if that vessel or aircraft or motor vehicle is used for further taxable supply of passenger, for training of how to drive that vehicle, for further supply of own goods or client's goods, the credit is available. In those cases, the credit for general insurance, repair, maintenance, servicing, the credit is available. Okay. Okay. Now, if there are further exceptions. If the expenses of general insurance, repair, maintenance, services incurred by the manufacturer of that motor vehicle or vessel or aircraft, the credit is available. The further exception is that if it is reinsured, that is, an insurance company given you a general insurance of the motor vehicle, it reinsure it to the another insurance company. That other insurance company charges the premium and charge GST on that. The main insurance company, the principal insurance company, the credit is available on the GST charge by the sub-insurer, that is reinsured company. Okay, okay. With this background, let's see some examples. It is car purchased by the company, used by directors of the company for business purpose, and they incur the expenses of general insurance, repair, maintenance, etc. The credit of that purchase of that car, when the GST paid on that purchase of that car, the credit is not available. Therefore, for the expense of general insurance, servicing, repair, maintenance, the credit is also not available. Okay, then the car is used by the proprietor for his office use, for furtherance of business. The credit of that car when purchase of that car is not available. Therefore, the credit of general insurance, service, repair, maintenance is also not available because that car is not used for transportation of goods or further taxable supply of transportation of passengers. Therefore, the credit is not available on that car. The credit of the expenses incurred on general insurance, service, repair, maintenance, GST charge on that, the credit is not available. Now the next example is relating to transportation of goods by road. See, if it is charged, if that service provider opt for the scheme of 5% RCM, that means a recipient will pay the tax on that. The GST credit is not available on purchase of that truck. Therefore, the credit of general insurance, servicing, repair, maintenance is also not available because the rate entry of 5% RCM doesn't allow the GST credit on purchase of that truck, general insurance, service, repair, maintenance, etc. However, if that service provider who is providing a service of transportation of goods by road opt for 12% GST to be paid on forward charge, the credit of that motor vehicle, that truck, is available. Therefore, the credit of general insurance, servicing, repair, maintenance is also available. Last example, very important example. See, tires purchased by the company to be used in a car which is used by the director of the company. Now see, what is this entry? This entry is relating to general insurance, services, repair and maintenance. This is service. Tire purchase is a goods. There is no restrictions. So the credit is available when the tires are purchased, when the parts are purchased, when the goods are purchased relating to that motor vehicle, vessel or aircraft. Okay? Okay. Let's move to the next clause, section 17(5)(b). Food and beverages. The credit is not available on various items like food and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment, health services, cosmetic, plastic surgery, leasing, renting or hiring of motor vehicle, vessel, aircraft, etc. See, here there is an exception that if you are using any of these for further taxable supply as such or composite or mixed supply, the credit is available. Let's take an example that I am purchasing packed drinking water and further selling those packed drinking water as such. Then I am not a consumer. I am a trader. Credit is available. Packed drinking water is food and is beverages. Credit is not available, but I am a trader. I am dealing in those goods, purchasing and selling further. I am not breaking the VAT chain. I am not an ultimate consumer. Therefore, the credit is available. Further, a membership of a club, health, fitness center, etc., the credit is not available. There is one more exception to this, that if any of these facility is provided by the registered person to its employees under any law, by the compulsion of any law for the time being in force, the credit is available. Let's take an example that there is a factory, there are laborers, and under the labor law, it has been provided that the employer needs to give a canteen facility to the laborers. In that case, the credit of canteen service provided by the employer himself or subcontracted to the canteen service provider, the credit is available. Let's take one more example that in a mining, the work is going on in a mine or at the hill. Then under labor law, it is compulsion to give the service of transportation. It is available because it is under compulsion of law that service is provided to the employees. Okay, see some example. First example, pantry material purchased like tea, coffee beans, etc. to be used by the employees, customer, guest, etc. It's a food and beverages. The credit is not available. Suppose a packed drinking water, a chartered accountant's office. They purchase a packed drinking water of 20 liters jar. They consume there itself. Therefore, the credit is not available. There is no further supply of drinking of water. Therefore, the credit is not available. Okay. Now let's see the next example. Third example, business promotion expenses incurred by the company. A dinner is arranged of top 100 customers. See, this is for furtherance of business. The dinner is provided to whom? To top 100 customers. However, what is these expenses? Is an expense of food. The credit is not available, even though it is used for further business. Okay. A makeup material purchased by the model for acting in a film. The credit is not available because, see, GST is a transaction level tax. That makeup material is consumed. There is no further supply of that makeup material, even though it is used by the model for acting in a film. Still, the credit is not available. Okay. Last example, motor car having a seating capacity of 5 passengers taken on hire for transportation of statutory auditor, the credit is not available because the seating capacity is less than 13 and it is not used for further taxable supply of transportation of passenger. Let's move on to the next. Further examples. Membership of the club taken to be used by the company's executive employees. The credit is not available. And membership of the gym has been taken by the company, provided the benefits to its employees. It is health related services. The credit is not available. Then employees group and life insurance policy. The credit is not available. See the next example, tricky example. Accident policy taken by the company for the employee who traveled regularly for business purpose. See, accident policy is not a health or life. Therefore, the credit is available. Okay. Professional indemnity, last example. Let's go to the last example. Professional indemnity policy taken by partner of partnership firm. This is not a life or health insurance. The credit is blocked for only for life and health. This is a professional indemnity policy. Therefore, the credit is available. Let's move on to the next topic of works contract. See, I will not go into the definition and the explanation part of it. So works contract is a service deemed to be service. This is related only to immovable property. There is a transfer of property in goods while execution of this works contract. This is related other than plant and machinery. It means for plant and machinery, the works contract for fixing that plant and machinery to the floor, the GST credit is available. What is a test? The test is fixed to earth. How you will apply this test? That if the item cannot be removed without damaging that property or without damaging that item itself, then the it is fixed to earth, credit is not available. The exception is plant and machinery. Expenses, then one more condition is expenses is to be capitalized. It means if the revenue expense is there, premises maintenance, credit is available. Credit is not available only in case if it is the expenses are capital in nature, capitalized. Then there are two things. See, you given a work to the works contractor and he constructed a building, office, etc. Or you purchase the material for construction. In both the cases, the credit is not available. Suppose there is a company who gives the works to the works contractor. Works contractor further subcontracted the work. Then the principal works contractor, the credit is available for the when the subcontractor charges a GST to the main contractor. The credit is not available for the company who given the work to the works contractor. So there cannot be a multiple cascading effect of ineligible credit. Okay. Okay. Now let's take an example that there is a construction work is going on, and in which cases the ITC credit is not available, and in which cases the ITC credit is available with the help of certain examples. So let's take the example relating to the works contract. First example, building civil work. Civil work is fixed to earth, so the credit is not available. Plumbing work. Second example, plumbing work. Plumbing work is what? It is fixed to that wall or fixed to earth. You cannot remove it without damaging that wall or without damaging that plumbing pipes, etc. So the credit is not available. Luster paint on wall. It is fixed on the wall. It is fixed to earth. The credit is not available. Verified tile flooring. It is fixed to earth. The credit is not available. Air condition work. Air condition work is generally plant and machinery. In income tax also you capitalize this as a plant and machinery. Therefore the credit is available. Carpentering work, table, chairs, these are movable items. They are not fixed to earth. The credit is available. Electrical work. Electrical work generally that uh, if the light is not working, you can replace it immediately. So without damaging that property. So the credit is available. LAN system. Again, it is not fixed to earth. The credit is available. Fire alarm system. It is kept on the floor. It is not fixed on the floor. Therefore, credit is available. CCTV, HDMI cable, telephone system. All these are movable items. They are not fixed. The test is if it is fixed to earth, the credit is not available. If it is not fixed to earth, the credit is available. What is mean? How to apply the test of fixed to earth? Can you remove it without damaging that property? Then it is not fixed to earth. If you cannot, it means it is fixed to earth. The credit is not available. Okay. Now let's move on to the other clauses of section 17.5 FGHI. goods or services purchased from a composition dealer under section 10 who registered under composition scheme. See, basically he is not allowed to charge a GST. However, if he charges GST, then the credit is not available to you. You should not avail the credit. Okay? Okay. And goods or services used for personal consumption. Frankly speaking, I don't understand the purpose of this clause, because if you see main section 16, what it says, that the goods or services purchased, procured to be used or intended to be used in the course or furtherance of business. It means personal consumption is ruled out. However, as an abundant precaution, this is given as a separate clause that if the goods or services are purchased for personal consumption, the credit is not available. Goods lost, stolen, destroyed, written off, disposed of by way of a gift or a free sample. We will discuss this in detail. Here is a separate slide. Many CAs are confused with this, but you don't get confused. You face the exam with confidence. Any taxes paid in accordance with the provision, any taxes paid in accordance with the provision of section 74, 129 and 130. These are fraud cases basically. Let's take an example. That there is a place in Tamil Nadu called Shivakashi. That is, I'm just taking a name for as an example, no other purpose. At that place there is a huge business of manufacture of crackers. The person, he sells the crackers without charging any GST, done everything in cash. That person is caught by the GST officer. GST officer asks him to pay the GST with interest and penalty. He cannot say that anyway I am paying the GST at the output side, allow me the credit of input. That is the raw material purchase to manufacture. That is not allowed under section 74, 129 and 130, because these are the fraud cases. Okay. Okay. Now let's see some of the example. This is simple one. First example, goods purchased from composition dealer, credit is not available. This is important. Suppose there is a transportation of chemical from one place to another, and during the transportation 2% of the chemical is evaporated. This is a normal loss. The credit is available. There is no need to reverse the input tax credit to the extent of 2%. No. This is held by Madras High Court in Ars Steel Limited. Yeah. That there is no need to reverse the input tax credit when it is a normal loss. Which means that, let's go to the next example, that the goods are lost in an accident, in a road accident. Input material purchase, they are lost in a road accident. The credit is not available because this is not a normal loss, this is abnormal loss. Crockery set purchased by a company, second last example, crockery set purchased by a company to be distributed to its employee during Diwali. This is a gift for the distribution to the employee. The credit is not available. Pen set purchased by a company, last example, next. Pen set purchased by the company to be distributed to its top 100 customers. The credit is not available because it is distributed as a free sample, this is distributed as a gift. The credit is not available, even though it is distributed to the customers. Coming to the next, very important, and most of the chartered accountants are confused with this. So let's take an example. You purchased a raw material A to manufacture a finished goods B. Material A is purchased, it is in warehouse, it is destroyed due to heavy rain. Whether the credit is available, credit is not available because the goods are lost. Now next example, the raw material A is purchased, it is manufactured, okay, and the finished product X is manufactured. That is kept in the warehouse, and that X product X, which is manufactured finished goods, is lost due to heavy rains. whether the credit is available on the raw material A, the credit is available because it is used in the manufacture process. It is not lost as such. Therefore, the credit is available. Okay. These are my contact details. If you are having any question relating to GST, you can call me or mail me. Thank you. Face the exam with confidence and come out of the exam with flying color. Thank you.